Thank you for coming to Starbright Storytime. This is the overview of books for week 27. This was Dinosaur Week. The first book we had on the list was How Big Was a Dinosaur by Anna Milbourne and Serena Riglietti. This is a book that explores through the perspective of a little baby penguin and the use of his imagination. How big was a dinosaur? He imagines going back in time and encountering all sorts of different kinds of dinosaurs, finding one larger one after another. Wonderful illustrations. It's a sweet book. How Big Was a Dinosaur by Anna Milbourne and Serena Riglietti. The next book on the list was Dinosaur Train. This book is by John Stephen Gurney. Again, this book also explores the imagination. This time it is the imagination of a young child who is rather interested in dinosaurs as well as trains. And perhaps it is a dream, or perhaps it is simply his imagination. He goes on quite the adventure, the train ride of a lifetime, with all sorts of different dinosaurs. They meet catastrophe, and yet the protagonist is able to pull everyone together to get the train back on track. This is Dinosaur Train by John Stephen Gurney. Next on the list is How Do Dinosaurs Say I Love You by Jane Yolen and Mark Teague. Another book full of wonderful illustrations. This sort of associates children's behavior with the behavior of baby dinosaurs. All the different ways they can behave, and then also each dinosaur has a name underneath it. It shows what kind of dinosaur is being featured in the illustration. Very nice book. How Do Dinosaurs Say I Love You by Jane Yolen and Mark Teague. And following this book, we have another one, also by Jane Yolen and Mark Teague. This one is How Do Dinosaurs Say Goodnight? More wonderful illustrations. Sort of the same premise, just a different routine. This is the bedtime routine. And again, underneath each dinosaur depicted, there is the name of the type of dinosaur, or next to it. So another fun book from Jane Yolen and Mark Teague. How Do Dinosaurs Say Goodnight? Next on the list, we have Crunch Munch Dinosaur Lunch by Paul Bright and Michael Terry. This is the story of siblings and how a younger brother and sister can seem like a pest, but when push comes to shove, there's always love. This is a story about a big dinosaur who was off to find some lunch, and his little sister sort of ruins his plan of stealth to sneak up on his prey. every time he's about to get some lunch. She interrupts him, seeking out affection and love. It's a story of patience and unconditional love. Crunch, Munch, Dinosaur Lunch by Paul Bright and Michael Terry. Next on the list, we have Dinosaurs Love Underpants. This book is by Claire Friedman and Ben Court. This is a very creative approach to understanding dinosaur extinction. According to this book, the dinosaurs perished in a fight over underpants. This creation that the caveman had come up with. Underpants. And the dinosaurs loved underpants and would fight over them. It's a very fun storybook. Very distinct illustrations from the illustrator. I really like the style. This one is called Dinosaurs Love Underpants by Claire Friedman and Ben Court. And the last book we have on the list for this week is Tyrannosaurus Drip by Julia Donaldson and David Roberts. This is also a creative take on the life of dinosaurs. This explores two different types of dinosaurs that are very different. We have the duckbill dinosaur on one side of the river. They are herbivores. They eat vegetation. And on the other side of the river, we have the Tyrannosauruses. And they, of course, hunt animals. But they can't get to their favorite meal. There's a mix-up here with a dinosaur egg. And one of the offspring lands in the Tyrannosaurus nest. It's a very cute story. And of course, these illustrations are certainly not realistic, but they're very imaginative and creative and rather entertaining. I do quite like these illustrations. The baby is reunited with his species and happy again. Anyway, it's quite the adventure. It's a lovely storybook. This is Tyrannosaurus Drip by Julia Donaldson and David Roberts. These are the books for week 27. Tyrannosaurus Drip by Julia Donaldson and David Roberts. Dinosaurs Love Underpants by Claire Friedman and Ben Court. Crunch, Munch, Dinosaur Lunch by Paul Bright and Michael Terry. We have How Do Dinosaurs Say Goodnight by Jane Yolen and Mark Teague. We have How Do Dinosaurs Say I Love You by Jane Yolen and Mark Teague. We have Dinosaur Train by John Stephen Gurney. And How Big Was a Dinosaur by Anna Milbourne and Serena Riglietti. So hopefully many of you enjoyed this week's books, the books for week 27, and it looks like the next week will be board books. So that's what we'll be doing for next week. Okay, anyhow, thank you for coming to Starbright Storytime. I hope you're enjoying the books.